Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl and welcome back to my studio. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to make the beautiful Jenny Floppy sun hat. A wide brim sun hat is a dramatic showstopper. Worked in a simple stitch, this gorgeous project is accessible to even the beginner crafter. The addition of wire in the brim adds a professional finish to be proudly worn. In the first video, I'll show you how to begin the crown of the hat. In the second video, I'll show you how we do the increases to create the brim. And in the third and final video, I'm going to show you how to add wire to make this adorable hat have so much structure. Let's get started. To make the hat, we'll be using Be So Fresh yarn, which is 100% linen sport weight yarn. It comes in colorways foam, night, and sand dollar. The Jenny hat uses sand dollar, and we're also going to be using a size F5 or 3.75 millimeter crochet hook, and we're going to be using 19 gauge millinery wire with a joiner for creating the stiffness in the brim. Millinery wire is a type of wire that does not kink when it's bent, and that's what gives the hat the ability to bend and be reshaped afterwards again. You can find this list of materials along with the written instructions on my website. There's a link in the video description. You can download a copy of the pattern or order a printed copy as well. And you can also order Be So Fresh yarn on my website. All of those links are also in the video description. First, we're going to tie our yarn to our crochet hook. You may use whichever method you prefer. You can use a slip knot or a square knot. Doesn't matter. There's no wrong way to tie your yarn to your crochet hook. And we're going to start with a chain 5. You want to slip stitch to the 5th chain from your hook to form a chain 5 ring. And now for round 1, we're going to work all of our stitches into that chain 5 ring, not into the individual chains. We're working in a spiral, not in rounds for the crown of the hat. And what that means is that we're not going to slip stitch to join at the end of the rounds, and it gives a more invisible seam. So in order to begin a spiral, we're going to start with a chain 1 and work a single crochet in the ring first. Single crochet is insert your hook in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook, and that's a single crochet. Notice that I'm working over my tail yarn as well. I'm holding the tail with the ring, and that way we'll be covering up the tail as we go and not have to weave it in at the end. Next is a half double crochet. Yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Half double crochet. We're going to work 10 more half double crochets in the ring. Okay, this is what the end of round 1 should look like. You should have 1 single crochet and 11 half double crochets. Now we're not going to slip stitch to join because I want to work this in a spiral. And I'll show you in the crown of our finished hat. Notice how you don't see the beginning and end of each round, and that's because we worked in a spiral instead of joining with a slip stitch. You see that slip stitch. It's subtle, but you can still see it, and so this is another option if you don't want to see that in your project. So now we're just going to pretend like we joined and just start round 2. This is the point where you may optionally want to add a a stitch marker in case you have trouble counting the beginning and end of your rounds. Round 2 is going to be 2 half double crochets in each stitch around. So we're going to start with this stitch right here, the first stitch, and work 2 half double crochets both in that same stitch. Okay, and just in case you want to add a stitch marker to your project, I will add one here just to show you where you would put it. You would want to add it to the first stitch of those 2 stitches so that you remember what the beginning of your round is. So we did 2 half double crochets in the first stitch. We want to do that in each stitch around. So we had 12 stitches at the end of round 1. You should have 24 stitches at the end of round 2. This is what the end of round 2 should look like, and now we have 24 stitches. To begin round 3, we're going to remove the stitch marker temporarily so that we can work into that first stitch. And the repeat for round 3 is to work 2 half double crochets into the first stitch and 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so there's the beginning of our repeat, and we're going to add that stitch marker back to the first stitch of those 3, like that. And so for the rest of the round, the repeat is 2 half double crochets into the next stitch and 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. This is what the end of round 3 should look like, and you should have 36 stitches. We're going to temporarily remove the stitch marker so we can begin round 4. Round 4 begins with 2 half double crochets into the first stitch and then 1 half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So our repeat is 4 stitches for this round. So we'll count back 4 stitches to mark our first stitch at the beginning of the round. And so now for the rest of this round, you're going to work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch and then 1 half double crochet each into each of the next 2 stitches. And you want to repeat that all the way around. This is what the end of round 4 should look like, and you should have 48 stitches total. Before we begin round 5, I'm going to remove my stitch marker just to be able to work into the first stitch. So the repeat for round 5 is to work 2 half double crochets into the first stitch and then 1 half double crochet each into each of the next 3 stitches. So our repeat is 5 stitches total for this round. We're going to count back to our first stitch of those 5 to mark the first stitch at the beginning of the round. And so for the entire round, we're going to repeat 2 half double crochets into the first stitch and 1 half double crochet each into each of the next 3 stitches. And repeat that around. This is what the end of round 5 should look like, and you should have 60 stitches total. We're ready to begin round 6, so I'm going to temporarily remove my stitch marker so I can work into the first stitch. Round 6, the repeat is 2 half double crochets into the first stitch and 1 half double crochet each into each of the next 4 stitches. So count back 3, 4, 5, 6 and mark that first stitch. You don't have to use the stitch marker, but it is very helpful if you don't feel like counting your own stitches and repeats. So the repeat for the rest of the round is the same, 2 half double crochets into the next stitch and 1 half double crochet each into each of the next 4 stitches. And you want to repeat that all the way around. This is what the end of round 6 should look like, and you should have 72 stitches all the way around. We're ready to begin round 7, so we're going to temporarily remove our stitch marker so that we can work into the first stitch. The repeat for round 7 is to work 2 half double crochets into the next stitch and then 1 half double crochet each into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, so we'll go back to the first of those 7 stitches, 4, 5, 6, 7, and remark the first stitch at the beginning of the round. And so for the rest of the round, we're going to repeat 2 half double crochets into the next stitch and 1 half double crochet each into each of the next 5 stitches. At the end of round 7, you should have 84 stitches total. For rounds 8 through 25, we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. In the next video, I'll show you how we do the increases to begin the brim of the hat. Make sure to watch all the videos in this playlist so you can learn how to make your very own Jenny's Floppy Sun Hat crochet pattern. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. I'll see you in the next video.